Welcome to the March 24th, 2020 episode of Reactive Consciousness, our in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host, Vise the Bold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And Recologist. Good evening.
Oh, man.
Whoa, is this first? We have a third person in the cast?
Shush you.
This podcast is told in the third person.
No, it's with a third person.
Oh. But I'm omniscient.
Right, guys, I'm here only because, I can't go to the junkyard to crush easy cars between my pecs because of the fucking virus outbreak.
Yeah, right. I guess I'll do this instead.
I cannot amaze the bevy of ladies I used to do.
Yeah.
At least you're getting flex pay.
Oof.
So anyway, we do have we have a few stories to go over this time. Not a ton, but they're monumental.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go over them because of course there's just all kinds of craziness going on as of right now.
So number one, I'm coming off of spring break. That's the crazy one.
Yeah. Did you go down to the beaches in Mississippi and Louisiana and Florida?
All of them.
No, all of them? Yeah,
you know
good.
me, I love the beach and taking vacations and large crowds and parties.
And pandemics, apparently.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so... that's just about everything you like is all of those things. So
yeah. If you could boil me down into a conglomerate of things, it would be a diseased party goer.
Oh God. High amounts of alcohol and everything.
But my favorite.
Lotus Prince's vodka distillery.
Was that what it was? Yeah, it was. Ugh.
Yeah. And cigar shop. I think it was a combination.
What did you say, Dracologist?
Apparently alcohol is good against the virus. Also, I've heard there are various ways to get rid of the bloody thing now, but people are using various medications, so panic not.
Yeah, well, let's get to the corona part after our biggest things here. The corona virus situation is, of course, a paramount news situation. However, the news that we're going to be reporting on is more kind of a follow-up to
yeah, we
to
did
last
have a
week,
heavy opening with it last time.
Exactly. We're going to go over some brand new info here. So, Mark Cerny, creator of Marble Madness, of all things, and lead architect of PlayStation 5.
All right. Logical.
You didn't know he was the creator of Marble Madness?
What was the last level of Marble Madness called? Crazy or weird or something?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's madness or crazy or something.
Yeah.
But he came out and did a keynote about the PlayStation 5, revealing its specs, which we already know the specs of the Xbox Series X, and so this will give us a good comparison point, as well as so this was more of a technical showing, so we didn't get a lot of glitz or glamour or even some of the software or anything like that. There was no software showcase. It was really a technical spec showcase. A lot of people are saying that this was probably in lieu of the Game Developers Conference speech that they normally have, meaning that this was meant to sell this to developers. And, it's here for people who want to compare from the get-go as well. But the way that it shakes out is that the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X kind of flip-flop in which is better at what on a couple things. So they end up being kind of very similar. I think we could have expected that. I mean, when you put it down to brass tacks, the PlayStation 4 versus the Xbox One, or even the Pro versus the X, they are all very comparable, with one just minorly edging things out. So as of right now, with the current console climate, the Xbox One X is the more powerful one that we have available to us. And it looks to be like maybe with when it all shakes out, the Xbox Series X will still retain that top spot in terms of graphical fidelity and features and ray tracing and things like that. However, keep in mind that like I said, everything flip flops, and who knows if it will be easy to use. Technically, the PlayStation 3 was a more technically advanced system than the Xbox 360 back when they were battling. However, games when they were programmed at the time were, for the most part, the Xbox 360 had better versions of games.
Yeah,
Most of
because
the time.
wasn't this because developers were still used to producing games on DVDs, so PS3 would usually have ports rather than games designed for it, so it ended up being clunky. Like Bayonetta was a famously clunky version of the
That
game.
might have had something to do with it, but I think the main factor that was affecting the development was the fact that it was a different type of processor. The PlayStation 3 has a cell processor which is proprietary. It basically is the only thing that has cell processors. There were very small amounts of other household items that Sony had thrown the cell into, but for the large part, most video game systems all now kind of run off of a Power PC architecture, which basically just means a modified Windows PC architecture, and it that really kind of started kind of with the Dreamcast.
Yeah, Windows ME, right?
Yeah. So there was the Dreamcast, and then the Xbox. The original Xbox followed in that, and then with the 360 kind of cemented that as the architecture to go with. So this all kind of shakes out. I mean, they're both going to be released at the same time. Everybody knew that was going to happen. However, I would take that with a grain of salt, considering the current issues going on around the world. And we don't know if they're even going to be able to produce these kinds of things. Most of the time, these systems are all constructed in the same factories and stuff. Foxconn, it usually puts all of them together. I would find it hard to believe that there wouldn't be delays on both of these systems because of the pandemic going on. Both of them are saying holiday 2020. There were some misattributed dates for the Xbox, saying that it was going to be Thanksgiving early on, and they got quickly corrected. So it's holiday 2020. So they're a little nervous about getting it out by Thanksgiving. I don't think they're getting it out at all by year end. To be honest, just because of how behind things are. I mean, the state I'm living in has an 8 p.m. curfew. I'm living in Pennsylvania, and the state that I work in won't even let you out unless you are an essential employee in a key industry. So
and the state that I'm living in has an 8 p.m. low-key curfew. Like, you're strongly discouraged from being out at that point. Like, why would you? You really should just stay home. It's not official,
you could
but
get stopped by the
home.
cops in PA. You could get stopped by the cops in PA, and in Delaware, they don't want you around even during the day. I would have still been able to go to work if because I would have been considered part of an essential industry. However, thankfully, my company has the work from home stuff all in place.
Yeah,
so.
we have been shut down here more than before at this point. I mean, they've made special exceptions, obviously, for medical professionals and some degree of education professionals, but do your best to stay home,
Yeah, and almost all of our restaurants are either take up out only,
Yep.
meaning delivery, or curbside. You can't even go into any of them.
Yeah, nor should
So
you.
yeah. And that's a good thing. I mean, they're still providing a valuable service, takeout restaurants, because some people can't even get groceries in this climate
Yep.
because of the hoarding that's been going on. So yeah. How are they handling it in Hungary on that subject? Their
We're
colleges.
handling all right. Everyone has been politely asked to stay home most of the time and work from home if possible. My mother is currently wrestling with the whole what is it called, like online
Yeah, like remote doing
online
whatever. Yeah.
She's working with the online classroom. I could talk a lot about what could be wrong with the whole concept, considering it's a special school.
I see.
And like it's not just not just for kids with disabilities, but like mental disabilities, but more physical disabilities, but
I see.
often what do you call it? Not fund, but
They need
like
one-on-one help and
well,
accommodations, right?
well, they come from a poor family, so you
I
can
see.
imagine how much they have internet or computer or
Oh,
Sure.
I
something like that.
gotcha. Yeah.
Sure, and that's actually something I was going to talk about, because like there are poorer communities. You know, a lot of these are. You know, I thank God that I can work from home. I mean, if I didn't have a computer, you know, and if I couldn't afford it, what would I do? You know,
Yep.
there's lots of situations where plenty of kids who are going to school can't get educated at all because of this. You know, they don't have access. They only have access to their local libraries or their school.
And no, they
So
don't have access to the local libraries unless
and
you
they
count
don't.
online
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah, because libraries
yeah,
was
that's what I
normally the way
mean.
to do it, but yeah, not now.
That's how a lot of people have access to the internet who can't afford it.
So far,
Um,
so good, but I think the biggest problem is my mother having a little bit of a trouble with the computer thing because
sure.
she she is coming from that type of age where it's a little bit difficult to learn to use these sort of complex things.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, everybody's having these growing pains. Even I was having trouble with my VPN. You know, for work. You know, it's laggy, so it's a pain in the ass to use. But I mean,
Yeah,
it's just
my
one of
mom
those
had to
things.
go through that stuff too. Where I work, they were offering like online workshops for how to do this and that because even the younger people are not used to online teaching unless they're among the few that have had online courses from the beginning.
Yeah. Well, we should move back to the comparison points here,
Sure.
just so we can stay on topic. We'll have plenty of other things to talk about concerning the coronavirus here, but we, by and large, I'm going to point out some of the things that are interesting about both of these systems. I mean, both of them have 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray drives, so they can both play 4K Blu-rays,
They
which
can
is
both play
good.
your copy of the Marx Brothers movies.
I actually don't have Ultra versions. They're just regular
Whatever, they'll still
Blu-rays.
work.
It's true, but as of right now, only the Xbox Xbox One X had a 4K UHD Blu-ray drive. So it's good that both of them will have that. So that will definitely widen the exposure for that, and it'll also allow the games to be printed on those as well. But I'm sure they'll still need gigantic updates anyway.
Yeah.
So who are they fooling? Their CPU, it looks to be pretty much identical, except 3.8 gigahertz for Xbox Series X versus the 3.5 on the PlayStation 5. So slightly faster. GPU is going to be better on the Xbox Series X with 12 teraflops versus 10.28 teraflops, which is what?
Yeah.
The
But
US military going to buy the new Xboxes linked to get like What I'm referencing is there was that picture on the internet where
Oh,
a
the
bunch of
PS3s.
PS3
Yeah.
were racked together to use as a Beowulf connected system for processing.
Yeah, I remember
Sure.
that.
But let's see here. The both of them support ray tracing, so that's pretty cool. And PlayStation 5 has a 3D audio engine, which is really interesting. So especially for those people who are using a or a stereo system or a headset system, that's going to be very important.
Yeah, that's
Because
interesting.
that
I've only ever heard of anything like that, and it wasn't the audio engine, it was the microphone capability that translated to 3D audio for like
mhm.
Corpse Party and the PSP.
Yeah, I was actually going to say the Corpse Party has that as well. Even on the DS version, it has that
Yeah, they
as
had some kind
well.
of like
So
3D like microphone recording or something like that.
yeah, and it's
Uh,
mastered particular in a very particular way so that you
Yeah.
can it simulates a surround sound system
Yeah, the
basically.
audio comes from a direction. It's quite clever.
Yeah, it's really
no,
really neat.
I can understand the Dolby surround system, but microphone, why?
Well, no, no, no.
Well,
I
they
mean,
they
like the audio
recorded
was
it with a
recorded
3D.
with like a weird kind of microphone technology. So like when you use
The
headphones, it
recording.
translates
Okay.
that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Surprisingly, both systems are going to be using an AMD Radeon system. Let's see here. Usually, one goes with one and the other goes with the other, and AMD is really making out because it's Nvidia is the only one is only working with Nintendo at the moment. So
Huh.
that's really interesting. Um, Xbox has variable shield rate shading, and the PlayStation 5 does not. Apparently, native 4K support, um, up to 120 hertz refresh rate for both, and up to 8K support as well for later on. Let's see here. Um, Data transfer speed seems a lot higher with the PlayStation 5. I don't know. It's a little. Yeah. The PlayStation 5 has a much higher transfer speed. So one of the things that they were bragging about was that both kind of seem to have a special SSD technology that they're using, and but the PlayStation 5 is going to be expandable via off-the-shelf parts, whereas
That's good.
the Xbox Series X will need you to buy proprietary add-on hard drives if you want to expand your hard drive.
Yeah, I
So
suppose I don't know if people will be too mad about this, but like I like to think that maybe Sony learned its lesson from the Vita's memory card and shit like that, where everybody was buying
yeah,
dirt cheap SD cards and a little like $2, $3 adapter because go fuck yourself. I'm not paying like $120 for like a Vita memory card.
here's the thing. The PlayStation 4 is woefully small, right out of the box, with its hard drive. Even right now, I have a 500 gig hard drive in mine, and it is tiny. I have to delete something constantly.
See, like
Uh,
I know this is like a petty thing, but this is why I like physical media because like
oh
you,
yeah,
you still have to download updates and install them and everything, but like
sure.
take the disc out, put the disc in. Like I actually don't really have much in the way of memory problems because I only have a few games on my system at a time because it's what I'm playing. And if I ever delete them, I could always put the disc back in and reinstall. Whereas if you go digital, you probably should keep the stuff on the system because I don't know about Xbox, but with PlayStation, I think you're only allowed to download the same game 3 times. I mean, like, I don't know how many times you're downloading one game to be fair, but there's still just that knowledge hanging over your head.
I don't think they have that limit anymore. I think they're more
they
limited to the systems that you have it downloaded to all at once.
Okay,
I
that's
think
fair
that
enough.
that's how
That's
they limit
better.
it. Yeah, I think you could download it as many times as you want. If not, that's a very short-sighted
Yeah, you're
policy
effectively
because
like not quite. I don't know if renting is quite the right word, but like you don't own the game that you paid full price for.
yeah, no, I don't think that's the case anymore. If
Okay,
that was
I
the
hope
case
not.
before. Yeah, but what I'm trying to say here is with their storage, it's the PlayStation 5 is going to come with an 825 gig SSD storage hard drive. It's custom, but you can, like I said, you can expand with certain off-the-shelf parts, not like all of them,
Yeah.
but specific ones that will be compatible.
The fact that you could find a shelf and get them, like, all right.
Exactly. The Series X will have 1 terabyte of a special NVMe SSD storage drive that apparently would be off the shelf, but they're not treating it that way. So it's kind of like what they did with the Xbox 360 in that they have basically a proprietary version of an off-the-shelf part.
Yeah.
Here's the big thing, though. You can use an external hard drive in order to store data and installs. However, you will not be able to run it off of that with the Series X. So essentially, you can swap back and forth, but the idea is that if you want to have more space, you have to buy their proprietary storage upgrades.
We'll see how long it is before someone comes up with some alternate method of dealing with this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless or they sell these proprietary hard drives in a reasonable price.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. If it's at a reasonable price, if it costs the same as non-proprietary stuff, then I don't know if people will care. But if you're gonna throttle people, then that's gonna you're gonna pay for it.
So,
well, not Nintendo.
So
Yeah,
here's the big thing that people are crowing about right now. As before, we went over the Series X's backwards compatibility strategy, which is actually pretty amazing. Anything that is currently compatible with the Xbox One line of game systems, that means including any of the backwards compatible titles that are currently available for that line, are also going to work with Xbox Series X, as well as the new games. So everything that is currently available on the Xbox platform will continue to be supported, which is great. They have stuff going all the way back to the OG Xbox and most of the essential games. There are 2 games on the OG Xbox that if they decided to support them all of a sudden, I would get rid of my original Xbox because it's just that good.
Blinks the cat, obviously.
Yeah, no, that actually might even be backwards compatible. But
really?
the only 2 that I still wish were backwards compatible that aren't currently is Jet Set Radio Future.
Yeah, that game's
one.
a freaking that game is elusive, just weirdly.
Yeah, it is backwards compatible on the Xbox 360, but its emulation is not very good.
Okay.
So you might as well just play it on an OG Xbox and plug it into an OSSC or a FrameMeister in order to get it to work with a modern television. You don't need to upscale it though, because I think it runs at 720p as it is, so it's still quite good. Yeah, that shows you how good that system was when it came out. It was running stuff at 1080i and 720p back then. But they do have Ninja Gaiden Black, for instance, on there.
Oh, yeah.
The Prince of Persia Sands of Time trilogy is all backwards compatible. The Prince of Persia game after that, which was just called Prince of Persia, is on there.
The 2008 game, was it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. And all kinds of stuff from the original Xbox. There's Phantom Dust, which was a cool cult hit. Of course, all the Halo games have been remastered and all that kind of stuff. So all the really big games for the OG Xbox have. Panzer Dragoon Orta is already on there. The only other game that I want to be on there that isn't is Outrun 2 Coast to
2006?
Coast. Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast,
Yeah.
which is an update of Outrun 2. That's why I called it that. But two Sega games that I think both will never be probably available again, just because of licensing issues. There's a lot of music in Jet Set Radio Future, and there is the Ferrari license in Outrun 2006, so that's probably never going to happen. But here's the big thing with PlayStation 5. We have been talking about the possibility of like every PlayStation system. There was a rumor going around being backwards compatible with this, and I was doubtful about PlayStation 3 and beyond, and
Yeah,
I was glad I was doubtful.
I heard PS4 was probably a done deal, but I don't know about any of the others.
So what they have said is that, and apparently there is some contention as to the context of how it was said, but they're saying that PlayStation 4 games, they have tried the 100 most popular games, and they will work well at launch.
Okay.
So that's not good enough for me because the types of games that you and I like are never going to be the top 100 games. Some of them will be. I mean, God of War is a great game. Obviously, we want that to be
recently
backwards
that
compatible.
One. Freaking great.
Spider-Man, obviously, we both love that game. The Uncharted games, we love those, but we're not Call of Duty guys. We're not sports fans either. So, a lot of the stuff that I like are the M2 shot triggers games. I want that to be on PS5, but I don't see that happening. That kind of thing. So
all the Madden games converted. That's the only games you get.
Yes.
It's just all Madden games.
Even the one on the Jaguar, especially the one on the Jaguar.
It goes all the way back. You could play all of the Madden games.
I want Sega Genesis Madden.
Even before they could fit the required amount of football players on the field. But that's disappointing. I at least thought that every PlayStation 4 game would have backwards compatibility. They're not even promising that at this point.
Yeah, that is weak.
However, some people are saying that this was out of context, and they were basically saying that special features like faster loading and up-resing work with the 100 titles, and the rest are going to be backward compatible.
I mean, I'll take that, but that does seem like a stretch for meaning, so maybe we'll get a clarification later.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Of course, probably whatever E3 keynote that they'll probably have a state of play.
Yeah.
And Xbox will do the same. And Nintendo will have their direct about whatever they're doing this year. Probably Zelda, if that. I don't even know if they're going to even put out Zelda this year because of coronavirus. I mean, because they're a Japanese company, and most people buy their games physically over in Japan still. So. I don't know whether they would want to, and Zelda's a huge title that a lot of people buy physically, so I doubt they'll have enough resources to print those that amount of games for probably what's likely to be one of the most popular games for the system. So moving on from that, Xbox has what's that?
I would say that it's going to one of these things we're going to decide which game is better is which games they're going to keep for stage. Exclusive.
Yeah. So I was going to get to that eventually, but I wanted to talk about backwards compatibility one more time here. PSVR is going to be backwards compatible with the PlayStation 5. I wouldn't doubt that they would put out a more advanced version
Maybe
pretty
so, but that would
soon.
be an incredibly risky move, saying that you would need two PSVR systems. Like, nobody's doing that.
No, but they're probably going to grandfather the old one in, and then
Yeah,
also
yeah.
have better features for the new one. That's all.
Hmm.
The Xbox Series One or Series X, sorry, so they're naming conventions. God damn it. Apparently, accessories from Xbox One will still be compatible with that, but the new controller looks great. I don't know if you had a chance. It's basically the Xbox One controller, but like it's a modified version of their Elite controller, which is probably the best controller on the market for a modern game. So let me see here. These are all the main stuff here. I they I think the controllers are supposed to be radio connection on Xbox One X, not just Bluetooth like it has been for all the systems. So radio connection, like the it was a 2.5 gigahertz bandwidth, is like basically almost instant. It's better than the Bluetooth, so it's better for basically everything. It's the latency is a lot lower, so I wouldn't doubt that PlayStation would go ahead and do the same, but they might just do Bluetooth again. Who knows? But yeah, those are the main points. I have to say that I'm really disappointed in Sony's backwards compatibility. I was hoping to be pleasantly surprised, but they under delivered, which is a shame. But I will tell you this, that it's all about the games. It's all about the software, and I'm sure all three of us would agree on that, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you can get into a specs pissing contest as long as you want, but like, how many games are actually going to make use of the maximum settings of all those? That never happens.
Exactly.
There'll be like
In the
10.
most optimized way.
Yeah,
The most
Exactly.
exactly.
optimized way, yes.
Exactly. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that my favorite system that I currently have is my Switch. It is not the most powerful thing, but it has the best the best exclusives. Nintendo knows how to make a freaking great game, and it is also the best way to play an indie game out there. For most situations, I will say. So
It's a good portable.
it's great. It's a great portable system. It's one of the best systems I've ever used, and
I'm
um,
still like Xbox One and PS and the PlayStation are always are competing with like the muscle mass, and Nintendo is always competing with quirkiness. But it is like the constant thing is that you cannot in muscle wise you cannot compete with the PC. This is why the Nintendo usually have a little bit of an advantage over a PC.
yeah. So I think the Xbox Series X is particular. Both of these are particularly uh, good at competing with the high end PCs currently. I mean, um, their stats are very hefty. So, especially for right now, I would rather buy if these are $500 systems, like we think they're going to be. I would say that I would much rather have an Xbox Series X than a brand new uh, graphics card. I was taking a look at like the best graphics cards right now, and they're over $1,200. I'm not doing that. So I'd much rather have both of the systems here than upgrade my GPU at this point because they're getting out of hand.
Many of these have it like they are expensive and can do a lot of things, but those things are so
Niche.
minuscule that you cannot notice that from between something like a pocket friend wallet friendly video card that can do similar things and a super like turbine coolant GeForce beast.
Yeah, I mean, I have a NVIDIA GeForce 1080 Ti, which is considered a very good card, even still, and I can barely run Doom Eternal on it. That's actually the first game where it's tested my 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 specs on my desktop. So I don't think I'm ever going to upgrade it. I think I'm going to keep my desktop where it is and then continue to go with the consoles, because this day and age nobody can afford to release a PC exclusive that is a high-end game anymore. Nobody's going to do that anymore. So I think I'm going to stick with consoles. I don't think they're.
I'm going to stick with PC.
Well, you pick what you want, of course, but that's where I'm getting to be. I was a PC guy through and through. Lotus will tell you, for like 6 years. And I built my computer from scratch, and I learned how to do all of it, and I even helped him build his PC. But
you just straight up did it.
Good point. But what I'm trying to say is I'm into this stuff, and it's finally priced me out. And I think I'll have a better time, even doing like the minor upgrades. When the better version of Series X comes out, I'll probably upgrade there. But I think I'm going to be a console gamer through and through from here on, unless there's like an online component. I'll particularly probably want to play the Steam version, where I don't have to pay for an online feature. But that's neither here nor there. I just kind of wanted to go over these things. Seems like both systems are very, very comparable. I don't think you'll just like today you'll have to watch like Digital Foundry videos to find out which one's better, because you couldn't find out with your naked eye. Which one has the better frame rate or whatever. It's going to be very comparable. So the jury's out, but I think of course Sony's going to have more exclusives. They just are, because of the nature of the way that they're doing business right now, and also because they have a better relationship in Japan right now, where a lot of the developers that we enjoy on the show are coming out of. So, did you either of you want to make any more points about the PS5 or Xbox Series X before we move on?
Not really. I mean, it'll be years before I get either of them anyway.
Sure.
Not interested in any of the two, but I know that it's a quality competition is not is worthy.
Gotcha.
Actually, you know me. I just hate the exclusives because. Speaking of which,
yeah. So Half-Life Alyx is finally out, which is the VR exclusive game, Steam VR exclusive game, and apparently everybody loves it.
Yeah, the richest people in the world say it's a very good game.
It's
actually I had Commander Satorvan had a stream of it, like about 3.5 hour long stream, and it was pretty well made. Well, good mechanics, good system.
A lot of people are basically saying that it is probably the best VR game ever made, which I believe.
Yeah, I mean, without even having seen it, I can believe that a game Valve put a ton of effort into would be good.
It's a game. It's not a VR bumming around simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a proper game.
It looks like so much fun. I wish I could justify, owning it, but I can't. It looks like a ton of fun, but it looks like some people are from Valve have been quoted saying that this is only the first in a line of Half-Life content.
Yeah, a line of 2 games, because they can't count to 3. I can't wait till they conclude the Alyx trilogy, but they won't.
What they're saying is there won't be another big gap, is what they've been saying.
Yeah, bullshit.
Well, who knows? Who knows?
I know that you have to understand that Valve are boys who really like breaking boundaries, and for so long they didn't have a boundary to break, and that kind of put them into a slump.
That's
Sure.
true, but like they ended on a damn cliffhanger and then just stopped.
Yeah,
Well,
like I know how much people bother about this because they really like Half-Life. Like to me, Half-Life is a very good first-person shooter. I never even had a chance to play two, mind you. Like to do me that like I would be burned at the stake
Well, I mean, if
for
you
some people
started
for
to
this.
play 2 today, you'd be like, "Oh, this is a very good game," but it was like earth-shattering when it came out.
Yes, yes, I've seen the not tutorial, what do you call it? The sort of engine resource demo of it,
Sure.
and people like it was a whoa moment for many people.
well, I certainly have the envy. I want to play it. That's all I want to say.
I
Um,
can only show you what right now.
I want to
Speaking,
play it. But I did want to move on and talk a bit about GameStop being pretty shitty.
ugh,
GameStop has known to be a slimy business for a long time. I used to work there, and any person who used to work there doesn't have a good thing to say about the company. Um, I know lots of people that used to work there, and I know some people that still do. And the only reason why they ever started there and stayed there to begin with is because it is a way for them to enjoy their hobby. However, the actual company itself has a long history, a long history of mistreating its employees and not putting anybody but themselves first. And normally, I would expect that from a big evil corporation, but GameStop in particular is exploitative
yeah.
of its audience, egregiously so, and obviously so. So
And what I heard, they managed to dig a new basement for the bottom of the
Oh
barrel.
yeah.
yeah, now last week I stated that even though with all of these things I'd be remiss to see them go because they are the only national chain that is particularly focused on video games. After hearing this, I wouldn't mind them leaving and going
Yeah.
away for good. They just reminded me about how shitty they are, and I will be upset that we don't have a national brand. Other than maybe Best Buy is like going to be the closest thing after them. But they have shown time and time again that they don't give a shit about their customers or their employees. So I'm going to cut to the chase and say they were forcing their employees in states where there were retail bans going around stating that they were essential retailers.
Yeah, they
Uh,
apparently told their employees to like resist, like not like fight, but like resist the law by trying to convince officers that they're like essential businesses. These motherfuckers don't get paid enough to do this shit. Fuck that.
yeah, they make barely minimum wage.
Like if I were some schmo working retail, which I was, like I'm not gonna argue with the fucking police officer about my minimum wage job. Like get the fuck
And
out of
they
here.
shouldn't have to. They shouldn't even be put in a situation in which that might come up.
Yeah.
So they and also they're putting their lives and their customers' lives in jeopardy, as well as all their coworkers.
And you know what the
By
bonus? You
by
know what?
going,
And do you know why they were doing this? By the way.
they you mean their excuse?
Well, no, we
I
said their excuse. I mean, like the
Well,
details of
I
their
heard their specific excuse was that they have they carry
keyboards and
keyboards and
mice.
mice.
Yeah, because when I think I want to get a keyboard, I need it for work. My first thought is the $100 keyboard, like gaming keyboard
Yeah,
at fucking
get the hell out
GameStop.
of here.
It's
Yeah,
got
get the
game
hell
in the
out of
title. I'm
here.
not buying a fucking
Well,
mouse at game. Like, if I need a mouse for work, it's not going to be a gamer mouse. Go fuck yourself. No, but like what I meant by the reason, like that's the justification they had, but they really wanted to stay open just long enough to hit the launch date of like Animal Crossing and Doom
And
Eternal.
Doom.
Like you
Yeah.
gotta get those sales, And they did, and this wasn't so much the case for me, but in your state, Pennsylvania, didn't they get their fucking like license revoked or something?
Yeah. So I was actually going to get to that. So they closed all their stores in California, but my governor, Tom Wolf, in the state of Pennsylvania, suspended their business license,
Yeah, it's like,
so they
go
can't
fuck yourself,
do
dude.
business at all.
Yeah.
You get it back when you start behaving like a proper industry.
Yeah, I mean they
Yeah, good
suspended
luck
it.
with
They
that.
didn't revoke it, which is what some reports were claiming. But I mean that's a huge thing because
Yeah,
we
that's
have one of the
brutal.
biggest cities in America, Philadelphia, which is
Yeah.
the nation's capital before the nation's capital.
That's true, yeah.
So we are literally where the birth of America happened.
Yeah.
Like Philadelphia is a big deal. It's one of the biggest cities in America. I think it's one of the top 5. So it's huge. Like and you know Pennsylvania is a gigantic state as well.
Yeah.
On top of all that.
It's one of those things where, like, you look at a U.S. map and you're like, well, there's bigger, but, like, you gotta remember how big any of these states is. Pennsylvania is a big
It's
state.
a gigantic state.
It's like, what, like a 5 or
state.
6 hour drive across, maybe longer? It's probably like 8.
Like 7 or 8. It's more like 7 or 8.
Sorry, yeah, it's like 4 hours from the east side to, like Harrisburg or something.
Yeah, in order for me to get to Pittsburgh, it's like 6 hours
Jeez.
from Philadelphia. Yeah, so that's on the other side of the state. So if I wanted to get through the whole damn thing and go on to Ohio, it would be like
you're done.
7 or 8
Yeah.
hours. Yeah, easily. So, but it basically when I walked into GameStop like a little while ago because I wanted to get the Mega Man ZX Legacy Collection before things got really bad.
Yeah.
I asked them about it. I was like, "Do they still have you here?" And they were like, "Yeah." Basically, they told us until the marshals tell us to not, to bar us, and I was just like, "What the fuck? You are not that important." I hate to tell you, like I love video games.
I was
more,
gonna say I
more
grew up
than
on video
anybody.
games, but this is fucking stupid.
It's really stupid. Like I was expecting them to close like that weekend, which was I think 2 weekends ago at this point. And they basically had to have their business license revoked before they complied. I can tell you this that very few restaurants are even doing curbside right now in my area, and I'm in a very populated college town. I live in Westchester, Pennsylvania, which is a very populated area, and it's insane that they think that like nothing else is open, and GameStop thinks that they should be open along with
just anything to
grocery
squeeze out
stores.
that launch. You can't miss the launch of Animal Crossing and Doom. Anything to get those numbers up.
Get the hell out of here!
I will say, by the way, in places where applicable, they're now doing curbside business, like order online and swing by.
Not in PA.
Not in PA.
That is.
They deserve it. They deserved. They will. I thought even before this that they were going to go out of business by the end of the year. Because
that is
because
awful PR though. This is like pride and
I
accomplishment levels of bad PR.
I think this is the nail in the coffin. I absolutely would not be surprised if they were bankrupt right around holiday season or
and
right
by the way,
after, just like Toys R Us was
this is
a couple years ago.
corporate mindsets in a fucking nutshell, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Really tempting short-term goals and not even considering long-term implications.
Yeah, and they were willing to get all of these people in lines. All their customer base. They don't give a shit about you.
Yep.
They do not give a shit.
Sure they do. They had an email several weeks ago saying that they had hand sanitizers available for use in the store.
The bare minimum, they split up the release date of Doom and Animal Crossing. However, you still had all the people that wanted Doom and all the people that wanted Animal Crossing all lining
are
up.
Fucking massive. Yeah.
So go to hell.
Yep.
Go to hell. I mean, I really wanted to play Doom, but I,
order it somewhere else or get it
yeah,
digitally
exactly.
or whatever.
You can get it
from
digitally.
Steam.
Steam anywhere. Yeah.
Anyway,
This is kids. This is why you don't feed your capitalism after midnight.
Yeah, I mean, like, I love going to GameStop. The employees there are great, but
yeah,
they're not the problem. They're a piece of shit. Like, not their immediate bosses, but they're, the overlords are.
it's like this. Back when Blockbuster was going out of business, I was sad, not because Blockbuster was an asshole company that put so many mom and pop places out of business. They sucked. They were awful. They took advantage of people with their late fees and did awful, terrible things to people. However, they were the only they were the last bastion of the rental place. Exactly. And I was sad to see that go because I can't go to a place and talk to an expert about movies
movie
anymore.
nerd. Yep.
Yeah. Like, I don't have a place for that. I have the internet, which is full of assholes. Like, I don't want to talk to everybody. Like, that's why I'm limiting my Twitter interactions now, because like I don't want to talk to all of you. Like,
oh damn, I thought I was next level, but you're virtual social distancing.
Goddamn right.
Well done, Vice. You're the new gold standard.
Okay. But anyways,
let's bury this monster.
Yeah, let's just finish up. These are the big opinion pieces here, but Animal Crossing and Doom did come out this week. I have not had a chance to install Doom Eternal. I'm in the middle of moving into my new home, so my desktop is unplugged at the moment. So, but I am absolutely looking forward to installing that and playing it on my. We just got a brand new big ass TV. We got a 70-inch TV. Yeah. So I want to play Doom on it.
Play like a really scary horror game on that.
I can't wait.
Oh, I would hesitate at that.
I can't wait.
I would play Amnesia with the VR headset.
I can't wait. And I want to blast the fucking soundtrack, because Doom, the new Doom games have the best soundtrack. Love them. I don't know much about Animal Crossing, but I know Old Man Stompy is plugging away at collecting bells.
Yeah, he's flipping out.
It's adorable little time waster, but people seem to like it.
What I've noticed about Animal Crossing is that it's pretty heavy on its pun game, so like I do not care about Animal Crossing, but I highly approve of that. Like I saw something, it's like, I found a centipede, 99 more, and I'll get $1-peed. It's like, yes.
Absolutely.
It's so dumb. I love it.
By the way, you've seen the various memes that came out from the fact that the two games come out the same.
Oh, sure.
Oh, of course. It's never ending.
That was.
I can tell you this: I have installed Doom 64 in my Bethesda launcher here, so I can play that while I'm waiting.
Also, did you know that you get Doom 64 as well?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Fuck! I mixed it. Like I thought I was talking about Doom.
2016 versus 64.
Yeah, I have Doom 60. I have Doom 64 installed on my laptop. My laptop unfortunately cannot take the full game. Doom Eternal's too much for it.
It's interesting that that Doom 64 is more horror-like, less in its.
Yeah, it's a pretty somber game considering it's Doom.
Great.
Yeah.
In fact, most of the soundtrack is ambient, right?
Yeah, it's very gloomy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, moving.
Then again,
go ahead.
Yes. I just wanted to say that it's only the ambient, and possibly the situation. Like there is a constant reverb to the whole game.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
Moving on from that, Neo 2 is also out. I just wanted to throw that out there. Apparently, it's more of the same but better. So it's even more streamlined. Yeah, it's what you want in a sequel. It plays just like another Soulsborne, but apparently it's more loot focused than
the first was too.
The Dark Souls. Yeah, the Dark Souls games. So apparently it's very good. People are digging it.
I still gotta play the first. I'm so far behind. I gotta play Dark Souls 3.
I got Neo 1 when it was like an underground, like this is the new game you got to get because like you won't be able to find a copy of it, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um
I did it after you, but I did that as well. But eventually, I imported the international like with all DLC copy.
Gotcha. Well, word got around
Also,
because that the first game became a breakout hit.
Yeah.
After all of that, especially when the PC port came out, especially.
also, one of the interesting things about Neo that is it's not Metroidvania like style level. Like
Yeah, I heard it was
it's one
levels,
big,
like missions.
it's stages,
Yeah,
stages,
yeah, that's interesting.
That is
rather than
interesting.
one big map. So interesting, but okay,
Yep, yep.
good to hear.
Moving on, Sega has been putting out a pretty interesting teaser for their 60th birthday, which is supposed to happen
Yes.
tomorrow, as of the release of the show. They are showing the silhouette of a man in a gi, which could mean a couple of things, but the two theories are that it's Segata Sanshiro.
I don't think it is though. I don't think it
Well,
is.
that's a theory, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that might mean something having to do with a celebration of the Sega Saturn in one way or another, which isn't completely unfounded. I mean, we have some Panzer Dragoon stuff coming out.
No, I mean
Actually,
that
quite
that
a
that
few
is
Panzer
true,
Dragoon
but
things.
like I suspect the other thing because it's a silhouette you can't quite make it out, but it has like a 6. I suspect Virtua Fighter 6 and the silhouette is Akira.
I I agree. I'm actually going to say that this is
Sega
probably a
Sanshiro would be
Virtua
freaking
Fighter.
cool, but like not that I'm a big fighting game guy, but I have just on principle been itching for Virtua Fighter 6. I know it kind of like Virtua Fighter fell by the wayside in Evo in the West. Like we're really not that big on it over here, but it does
It's just
gangbusters in
been a long
Japan
ass
and
time. It's been a long ass time.
no,
That's
but
the
not only
problem.
that, but like we just don't take on or take to it like as much in the West. Like
It
we're
has the
we're
respect.
more
It's just not the player
yeah,
base.
like in America, it's more Street Fighter, and like in like South
And Tekken.
America and I think Mexico, it's more like King of Fighters. Yeah, we're more big on Tekken over here, but Japan like cannot get enough of Virtua Fighter, and there just hasn't been one since the PS3. So a Virtua Fighter 6 would be freaking incredible.
Yeah. What one of the Yakuza games had Virtua Fighter
Virtua
5
Fighter
on it,
2,
right?
yeah, Virtua Fighter 2.
No, one of them had Virtua Fighter 5.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was Virtua Fighter 5 like the
The
complete
final.
edition. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it was just like arcade mode because it's
Sure.
literally an arcade game, but still like they're
Yeah.
emulating a freaking PS3 game and a Yakuza game. It's crazy.
But what if, Lotus, that we're both right? What if it were Virtua
Sega says
Fighter
Sanshiro is
with
cool as shit, but
Sega
like
Sanshiro as a playable character,
if they're gonna call
along with
back
a
to Sega's
car?
early days, I would expect like a Master System title or something. Like I don't know about the Saturn, as cool as that is, like that's just the weird black sheep of their console library, even though it has a cult following. I expect Virtua Fighter. I mean, I'd be happy with Sega to Sanshiro. That guy's the fucking best, but I suspect Virtua Fighter 6.
Well, he did sacrifice himself at the end of the
Yeah, he blew
Sega
himself
Saturn's
the fuck
lifespan.
up, yeah. He stopped the missile.
But I hope it's a Virtua
But he's in
Fighter
Project
tease.
Cross Zone, so he's still around, I guess. Don't worry about it, it's fine.
I hope it's a Virtua Fighter tease because Virtua Fighter is fucking great.
Yo, let me play some more Jackie. Let me play some more Go.
It,
Let me make that happen. Let me play some more Kage. Cage.
Virtua Fighter is considered to be the premier 3D fighting series,
Yeah.
like the king of them all. Like
I mean, it was like mind blowing when you like Virtua Fighter 1 looks hilariously quaint today, but it was insane
it's
when you
still fun to
first
play.
saw it.
It's still fun to play.
I
I
remember
don't care
my
what anybody
brother's
says.
friend back when they were in like middle school or something. He had a 32X, and I was like, "You can play Virtua Fighter at home?
Yeah.
Like what?"
Yeah, no, that was mind blowing at the time, and that was a good version of the game too.
It
It was
wasn't
actually
bad.
better than the Saturn version by some people's standards. And Virtua Fighter 2, great game. 3 was the most underwhelming one, but 4 and 5 are great.
I think I weirdly have like 3 TB.
Yes, the 3TB is the
4,
weird
I
one.
think I have Greatest Hits Edition of 4, which is like the complete version. And
Sure.
5, I have the base game because that's the physical release. And like the extra
Final
characters
Showdown.
weren't really in story mode, or world tournament mode or whatever. So I was like, but like it's still super cool.
Moving on from that, the PC Engine Mini or TurboGrafx Mini has been delayed because of the coronavirus stuff going on.
Of course.
However, they found out that there was some hidden stuff in it that they didn't announce yet. That they're teasing. I think the Japanese one might be out, but the North American and European ones are not. So Japanese players have found that the PC Engine Mini has Force Gear on it, playable on its own. Do you know what Force Gear is, Lotus?
No, but real quick. So we're keeping up the trend then of every, well, not necessarily mini. I'm thinking like the analog systems, but still having like some hidden game, like the Genesis Mini, the official thing had a hidden game on it. You know, like that kind of thing.
Well, here's the reason why. M2 is putting together the PC Engine Mini as well as putting together the Genesis Mini. So the M2 knows their shit.
There you go.
Force Gear is kind of like Boxilios is to Yakuza. So Force Gear is a hidden shmup game that they put in Tokimeki Memorial, the dating sim or visual novel.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's a mini game that is cooler than you thought it would be.
Yes, it's a lot of fun to play on its own, but it's like one level, but you can do high score competitions with it because it lends itself to it. So it is a hidden Konami shmup that is not available anywhere else other than in Tokimeki Memorial.
Very nice.
And you have to play through the visual novel and then like join the computer club in order to play it. So even that those games were never in English. So if you wanted to play this game, and you didn't know Japanese, you'd have to play through it with a guide in order to get to it, and you would only be playing it for that, right?
Oh God. I think the original, you can't access it today realistically, but I think the original PC version of White Day had something like that. You could go to the computer and like force quit the game temporarily and launch some game that like I don't think the fan localizers ever made that happen, but you could have back if you were in Korea, I guess.
Well, what's cool about this is that a while ago, some hackers had hacked out the game to make it executable on its own in an emulator, or like if you burned it to a CD or something, and you could play it on your TurboGrafx. However, they made it available that way in a commercial product, which is great.
That's great. You know what that kind of reminds me of, actually, is that one Ease typing game, which you weren't supposed to access by yourself, but somebody made it so you can just do that now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, I think maybe Thomas Lipschultz linked it or something. There's like a website you could go to where just play Ease typing.
That's awesome. Well, there's also a couple other hidden games that I think are brand new for this. So Soldier Blade has a hidden caravan mode that's on there. That's one of the Star Soldier games. Okay. So caravan mode is a score attack that is time limited. So that's a lot of fun. Star Soldier games have always been score attack games primarily, so that's really cool. And they apparently went the extra level and put almost arcade perfect versions of Gradius and Fantasy Zone. So not just like the base versions that were released back then. They went back and improved Gradius and Fantasy Zone to function better, more accurately to the arcade versions.
On one hand, that's freaking cool. On the other hand, I have had enough of Fantasy Zone. It's been in like 3 or 4 Yakuza games in a row. We get it.
I mean, this is not for you, obviously.
I know.
But
no, Fantasy Zone's a great game, but like just personally, because I've been playing the Yakuza games in a row, that's enough. Like that and Space Harrier, like that. All right.
Yeah. Moving on from that, a Vectrix flashcard has finally been released.
Finally, I can play the complete version of Mindstorm.
Yep. Um, so for the longest time, the only way to play like homebrew and like all of the myriad of like former releases for the Vectrex had been on a multi-cart that a few different websites sold, but they were kind of in short supply and kind of like janky to order, and they also didn't have some homebrew couldn't run on it because it didn't have the capacity for it. Well, apparently this new Vecstream Vectrex Flash Cart has the capacity to play everything that is currently released, fan or otherwise.
Actually, here's a thought.
And it's a flash cart, so you can add things in the future.
Here's a thought. I don't know if they'd be able to get away with this, but you know what would also be really cool is if, like, the materials would be a pain in the ass to get, but if they could sell the overlays for the various games as well.
So I think you can buy those.
One second. Dracologist, the Vectrex was one of those games where you could play the game just on a screen if you'd like, but there were little card isn't the right word, but I'll use it anyway. Cards that you would put over the screen that put on paths. Like, do you know, like, think for example, there was this one game I remember on the Magnavox Odyssey. It was supposed to be a maze game where you navigate this little dot through a maze, except nothing's stopping you from just going left to right across the TV screen. There's zero effort. So you would put an overlay on the screen and just use the honor system and follow the path that you set for yourself. The Vectrex was like that, only less affecting gameplay and more just decorative. Like, Mindstorm, look at the cool design on your screen, like, the art on the side of an arcade machine or something.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So probably the most common thing is like the original Space Invaders arcade cabinets had colors on them. Basically it was just cellophane put in front of the screen in certain sections to make it look like it had color.
What that makes me think of actually is there was some old Godzilla movie that back in like the 70s or something, or 60s, they tried localizing into America, and they're like, we made it with color, but they did that color cellophane trick where it's like the upper part of the screen is blue because that's probably where the sky is going to be in most shots. Sky's blue, got it. Like stuff like that.
Yeah, they actually did that trick back in the day with some black and white films, like silent films back in the day.
Exactly.
What they would do is they would have like some cuts of the movie, like during certain scenes, would be orange to be thematic or whatever, but it would still be black and white. It's two-tone. I can tell you this: I think you can buy overlay like reproduction overlays as well. Still, if you want. However, most Vectrex fans will tell you that they prefer it without the overlays.
To be perfectly honest, from what I've seen of your Vectrex, like in all seriousness, so do I.
Yeah.
But still though,
it's cool. Yeah, no, it's cool, and the overlays do have some heftiness to them. They are pretty like durable.
Yeah, this
which
is not stuff you
nice
just print
feature.
out on your printer.
Exactly,
like clear plastic.
They're not like a transparency that you would put like on a screen over at school or whatever. But they are solid plastic. But I would say that this Vectrex system, if you've never seen one, look it up. Yeah. But it is a vector monitor in its as well as a system. It's kind of like almost like a Virtual Boy, but it's more communal. It's
well, you know what it's like?
Video
it's like
is all included.
Well, it's like those little SNK mini arcade cabinets you can buy right now, except with a vector screen.
Exactly, and vector screens function differently than the regular tube television raster screens that everybody's used to. So they use light and vectors in order to draw pictures. So it has a unique look. It has a unique look, And if you are putting those overlays in front of it, you are blocking the brilliance of the vector tracing that
That
is what
is
makes it
true.
special.
That is true. Yeah, like I mean,
Um,
in a lot of cases, that's on purpose to make it
yes,
like a little less harsh on the eyes. But it looks really
I like it
cool
better.
though. Yeah.
Yeah, probably the most common way this is viewed is if you play an original Asteroids machine, you could still see how bright a vector screen can be
Yeah, and by the way, when
compared
I
to.
mentioned Mindstorm as like a joke, Mindstorm is the game that defaults to the Vectrix when you don't have any card in
It's
it,
the
and
game to play
Mindstorm
though.
is Asteroids. It just
It,
is.
it's a lot of fun
It
though.
is.
But this flash cart is a fantastic thing, and it's actually very reasonable. It's $60.
That's
Um,
amazing.
and you can play every Vectrix game ever released, and then any fan one or anything.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and it's also a continuing project, so they're going to continue to update the firmware and add new features and
That's
everything.
cool.
It also has like its own power lights and everything like that in its 3D printed case, so you could tell it's on and functioning and all that jazz. So it's really a cool, full-featured flash cart, and the system has never gotten one before, so
Yeah.
really happy about that. I also wanted to say that Limited Run Games has putting out a couple neat things. There's an open pre-order. They usually have a limited one, but an open pre-order.
Well, they have been kind of leaning more toward open pre-orders
It's the
lately
way they
because the
should
limit
be
thing is a
doing
pain
it.
in the ass. Because if it's a popular title and you are
Why
like
not sell
3 minutes
as many
late,
that are
you're
ordered?
missing out. Yeah.
Why not sell as many as that were ordered? I mean, why not? Come on.
Exactly.
But they are putting out pre-orders for Streets of Rage 4 for PS4 and Switch. I'm getting a
Yeah.
Switch version because, cartridge.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really cool. You can get a limited edition in a Genesis-looking case, which is really
Yeah,
neat.
they did that with Toe Jam and Earl as well. It's pretty clever.
I like it a lot, and
You know what is a missed opportunity though? Like a serious missed opportunity.
What's that?
This is a Yuzo Koshiro partly like soundtrack. Like how do you not have a soundtrack CD with this one or a vinyl or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know what's up, but they are including a steelbook case, which is nice.
Yeah, the case looks cool. That they have done very good steelbook. Again, that fucking Thumper case is next level.
Yeah. And the plastic case that is included comes with reversible cover art where you can
Yes.
turn it into Bare Knuckle 4, which is
That's
really
great.
sweet.
That's clever. I hope it's. I forgot what the art looks like, but I hope it's that old style like Japanese bad guy is gigantic in the background, like Bare Knuckle 2. I hope it's that kind of art.
Well, it's Axel, but it's on a cool looking background, so I'm happy with that. And
Okay.
the Streets of Rage 4 has kind of a silhouetted, unfinished cover on there, but from what I see, it looks like Dr. Zan is in the background.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
And I think it's kind of foreshadowing that he might be the bad guy in this one, which would be kind of
That
cool.
would also be interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm very excited for this game. Everybody who has already played like a demo of it at any trade show has said that it's great. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be the first Streets of Rage game with a four-player ability,
That's
which is really
crazy.
neat. I don't have 3 friends, but that's okay. But I have 2, and neither of them can come over. But it's okay. But unfortunately, there is some slightly disappointing news. Hideki Naganuma, the composer of the fantastic Jet Set Radio games and the Sonic Rush soundtrack, has unfortunately dropped out due to prior obligations,
And
apparently.
that's too bad because his music is incredible.
It's some of my favorite. I also love following him on Twitter. He's going through this phase where he is really loving Family Guy.
Okay.
Just take a look at it. He
Have you guys
replaced
seen the show? It's really cool.
Yeah, well, he's in Japan where like Family Guy isn't popular, so
Yeah.
he's being like the cult fan of
That's
Family Guy for
amazing.
over in Japan, and like he had this like coin emblem as part of what his background was in Twitter, like his avatar,
Hmm.
and he replaced it with Peter Griffin on that same coin. It's so good, and like now people are drawing him like Jet Set Radio, like Family Guy fan art with like Peter in like the rollerblades and all that shit.
Oh
It's
god, that's
so funny.
brilliant.
It's so funny.
I could see Chris being in the rollerblades.
He's like understand the concept of Family Guy, like all this other stuff. Like he's hilarious.
Understand the concept of Family Guy.
Yeah. It's so good. He's a goofy motherfucker, and I love it.
Hi, and a Family Guy. We got a hot hand.
But yeah, shit like that, and he. It's unfortunate because, like, this could have had an all-star, like, Sega
Yeah.
trifecta of Yuzo Koshiro, Motohiro Kawashima, who were, the original composers of these games, and him, who's a fantastic Sega, composer. There really aren't many other ones other than those, huge ones for us, other than Michael Jackson. But
Space Jackson or Space Michael.
Space Michael. But it's a shame. But that makes me wonder what the hell else could be going on. Because he must have something up his sleeve if he's dropping out of that. I don't know what he's doing. But I also wanted to let everybody know that a limited run is taking pre-orders on Dark Forces and Dark Forces 2, like repackaged old PC versions with some pretty badass
with very
looking
few exceptions. I'm
boxes.
not interested in buying like physical PC games because that ages real quick. And not to mention, like, you're paying a premium for this packaging. It's just repro games that already existed, which also kind
I
of
don't
leaves a
get
bad
it.
taste in my mouth.
I don't get it because, like, especially since both of these games really haven't been updated significantly either. Like, they haven't had like their original engine updated, like like Duke
Yeah.
Nukem has or anything like that. Neither of them have gotten that kind of treatment. So
I will say though that, like, I know, Vice, you played Dark Forces 1. I didn't play that until a few years ago. I grew up with Dark Forces 2. But let me tell you, Dark Forces 2 is everything a sequel should be. That game is so good. It's fantastic.
so much so that it basically wrote out the first game and it took
Well,
over
yeah,
the series.
they went in a different direction because, like, the first game is not called Jedi Knight. It's just called Dark Forces, and the second game is Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2, and that's the end of Dark Forces. Then it's Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast. It's just the Jedi Knight series after that.
Exactly. So, I just wanted to throw that out there because the boxes do look cool. However, I've only bought...
and they have a theme with the other LucasArts games. If you want to collect them all, it'll look great on the shelf, but, like, I'm not doing that.
I've only bought a couple of their PC releases. I bought their first one, which was,
Octodad?
no, well, I guess their second one, the Silver Case.
Yeah, I bought the silver case. I did do that.
And that was because I was just so overjoyed when it happened.
I didn't think it would get a console physical release, and then it did.
Neither did I. But still, I would still say it was worth it.
Yeah, it's a weird, like, it's an obscure version of an obscure game, or at least in the West.
I'm okay with my purchase, and I also have
am I.
Frog Factions 2, so...
That's true, yeah. I think
Yeah.
of Frog Fractions 2 is kind of like just like
Come on.
like a shitpost. It's funny as
Come
hell.
on, get it. Also, just was going to talk a little bit about some coronavirus, like, cool things that companies were doing, because
Yeah.
a lot of companies are putting their games on, like, mega sale or even giving some away just so people have something to
Those
do.
people are not GameStop.
Yes.
That is correct. But yeah, there are a whole bunch of free games on, like, Steam, GOG, itch.io, I think Epic, like a bunch of places.
Yeah, Image and Form, who are the makers of the SteamWorld games, came out today and said that they wanted to give at least 1,000 games away to help people out who didn't have a whole lot of money to spend on games. So they are offering, if you just sign up, you have a chance to get a free copy of SteamWorld Dig 1, 2, Quest, or Heist on your console of choice out of what was it? Your platform of choice out of PC or Switch. Yeah, so that's really cool. I mean, I entered into it, but I'll probably end up giving it away if I get it because I don't need it. I just kind of want to give it to somebody who might need it. So, I thought it was really cool though. They're not looking for any monetary gain or anything from doing it. They just want to help people out. And Nicalis put out a really awesome bundle. I don't know if you took a look at this, but for $20, you get The Binding of Isaac and all of its expansions and versions. The Legend of Bumbo, which is the newest game. The End is Nigh. The Basement Collection, which is Edmund McMillan's old games. Closure. Bomber Nuts. A game called Fingered. I don't know what that is. Crystal. What was that?
It's a logical. I know that game. It's like when you have to select who is the you have
I saw
witnesses
this.
and you have to find the guy who is the perpetrator.
Yeah, it's
Gotcha.
kind of like it's sort of like Guess Who.
Gotcha.
Except that some of the witnesses you ask have poor memory or are unreliable. So you're like, I think it was this person. It's actually a pretty clever game.
Gotcha. And then Crystal Crisis, which is kind of like Puzzle Fighter, but with the Nicalis characters in it. So, Blade Princess, Curly Brace, quote from Cave Story.
Blade Strangers?
No, Crystal Crisis.
Blade Strangers is another game that... Oh, you said like Puzzle Fighter. Okay.
It's like Puzzle Fighter.
Okay, Blade Strangers is the regular fighter. All right.
And Blade Strangers is also in the bundle as well. Which also has all of their characters in it, like including Umahara Kawaze, the princess from Code of Princess, Shovel Knight.
Wait, isn't Blade Strangers has Azure Striker?
I don't remember. It does?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And Binding of Isaac. Isaac's in it.
Quote again and Curly Brace again, I think.
Shovel Knight is huge and jacked as shit.
He's way too big. It's amazing.
Curly Brace is in it. Like a whole bunch of characters. So, it's really cool that you could buy all of these games for $20. I already had some of them, so to complete it, I got the rest for like $6 because Steam is great like that in that it'll give you the bundle deal minus the games that you already own.
Yeah, that is great because if you do just say I want to buy this one game and you click on its own page, you would pay full price, so you have to go through the bundle, but the bundle compensates.
Yeah, you won't buy extra copies of the game, and normally these games cost $132 on their own.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And they're at The Binding of Isaac is well worth $20 or more. So on its own,
there's like people put hundreds of hours into it.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say. So for all the rest of the games, and you might already have them, so probably less than $20 for you.
Yep, I didn't even realize Bumbo was out. I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, Bumbo's been out for a while. It's been out since November 12th.
Okay, well, whoops. I mean, I saw previews for it. I just didn't know when it finally landed.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what kind of game it was for a long while until I see some video.
Yeah.
It's like a card
type of game.
It's like a card game almost. Yeah.
No, it's more like a
dungeon crawler.
No, it's like one of those puzzle quest games. Instead of just match 3, like you match 4 and you move the entire row.
Oh, I'll take it.
Cool. And you had a thing that you wanted to talk about here at the bottom here, Lotus?
Really quickly. Today, like the Monday night, Monday day anyway, but like a new trailer dropped for the upcoming Guilty Gear Strive, and Milia and Zato 1 are confirmed, and the art continues to be absolutely freaking gorgeous. And one comment I saw was pretty great. It was like, Milia is thick, Zato 1 is thick. It's freaking amazing. Zato is freaking jacked now. It's ridiculous. And Eddie looks more like has more personality than ever.
I love Guilty Gear, but I can't keep up with it. It gets
There's
so
no
many
fucking
updates.
way, but it looks so good.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to get into a fighting game, like if I'm going to casually play it, it's probably going to be Guilty Gear because I can do flashy, awesome stuff without much skill.
Yeah, for people who don't know the game, your button mashing will still look like you know what you're doing. But people who do know what they're doing,
oh,
you're
they'll
fucking
still
dead.
kill me. They'll wreck me.
Yeah.
They'll probably get off like an insta kill on me.
I want to see like a talented chip player because that shit's terrifying.
Oh god, bouncing all over the fucking place.
He is air teleporting. Oh god, you can't do a damn thing.
There's a reason why that character isn't not in very many versions of Guilty Gear. He's only in like a few.
Is he?
He didn't get added to Guilty Gear X2 until Accent Core, I think.
Okay, I'm not as familiar with X2. Version. I remember him being in Accent Core though.
Accent Core was the last version of X2.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. There were like a billion versions of.
And by the way,
X2.
Chip himself is fucking bulky now. It's weird.
Isn't he like the squat guy that moves all around?
Yeah, but
really quickly.
Look at his arms. He is jacked now. It's like, whoa, what happened? Same with Zato 1. His arms are huge. It's like, wow.
Sega to Sanshiro could kick his ass, though.
I mean, that's not even fair. He can kick everybody's ass.
Except for Wesley Willis. Birdman kicked my ass.
And Birdman. Wesley Willis beat up Superman and Batman, but Birdman was just too much.
Birdman kicked his ass. All right. I think we should wrap up this episode. Yes. It's been a long in the tooth, but it was a good one. Anybody else have anything else to say before I wrap it up here?
No, I think it's about it.
Stay inside.
Stay inside, stay safe, don't go to GameStop.
Oh, I mean, don't make non-essential purchases in general. Like, oh, the the hardware store is open. I can buy like an appliance or whatever. Like, fuck off, stay home.
Yeah, no. Only buy food, basically.
Yeah.
Food and medication.
Or if you need to do some sort of like emergency repair, I mean, like, I get it, but don't buy frivolities is the point.
And for any hardware questions, you can ask Lotus Prince, who used to work at a hardware store.
Yeah, I was very good at scanning your items that I didn't know what they were and charging you for them. Which one of these is better? I don't fucking know. Pay me.
And that's the show for this week. Just remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and Soundcloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes, and please stay a healthy distance away. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. We're going to have a nice discussion on review bombing. Finally, you can find me as Vides the Bold on Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, and pretty much anything.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, Resident Evil 0 coming up real soon. In fact, the day this podcast goes up, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
Resident Evil 0 is now just plain 0. I just watched The Running Man.
Oh, nice!
It's good shit.
I'm gonna shove my fist in your stomach and break your goddamn spine!
It's so good.
What?
Speaking of Resident Evil, all of those got on my memes. Anyway, as you can find me on Skype, you can find on Steam, and you can find me on Discord.
Oh, yeah.
Psychologist.
Hell yeah. Alright, so we will catch you on Thursday for another exciting episode of Corrective.
Until next time, everyone.
Good evening.